10 messed up scientific experiments of real mad scientists. 10. MIT tricked children into eating radioactive cereal. In the 1940s, Quaker Oats issued a research grant to MIT. Their competitor, Cream of Wheat, was flooding the media with ads claiming that the nutrients in their product traveled through the whole body. Quaker wanted to be able to say the same, but they refused to claim anything in an ad without proving it first. They rounded up 100 orphans, most of whom were mentally disabled, and fed them oatmeal laced with calcium tracers and radioactive iron. The experiment jeopardized lives and cost MIT $1.85 million in fees and lawsuits. 9. Dr. Sanjeev Talwar made remote-controlled rats. The State University of New York has been hard at work making something that the whole world needs: remote-controlled rats. These are real animals directed by remote control through a machine connected to their brains. The creator, Dr. Sanjeev Talwar, says that the rats could be used to save victims of earthquakes, although there's no record of his rat bots being used to help anyone. There's a good chance that this brain control device is going to be used for something, though, because it was funded by the US Department of Defense. 8. Several children were raised in isolation to see what would happen. Early scientists took a strange interest in discovering mankind's natural language. More than a few people tried it. About 2,700 years ago, an Egyptian pharaoh ordered 2 babies to be raised in isolation. When the experiment was done, one of the children babbled something that sounded like bekos, the Phrygian word for bread. So the pharaoh declared that Phrygian was our innate language. In the 15th century AD, King James IV made a mute woman raise babies alone on an island. He reported that those babies ended up speaking perfect Hebrew, but most historians believe that the experiments lied about the results. Emperor Frederick II went a step further and didn't let the babies be touched. The babies, who were only fed and never talked to or touched, died from neglect. 7. Pfizer killed up to 50 children with experimental medicine. In 1996, Pfizer tested Trovan, an experimental antibiotic with a history of causing liver failure, on 200 Nigerian children during a meningitis epidemic. It was illegal to give this drug to kids in the US and to anyone in the European Union. According to the Nigerian government, the drug killed up to 50 children and caused mental and physical deformities in most of the others. Without admitting wrongdoing or liability, Pfizer settled out of court for $75 million. 6. Pavlov's pupil recreated his experiments on children. You've probably heard of Ivan Pavlov, who got a dog to salivate every time Pavlov rang a bell. One of his pupils, Nikolai Krasnogorsky, decided to expand Pavlov's experiments to human children. Krasnogorsky got babies to salivate at the ring of a bell. He also recreated experiments that had previously driven dogs to violent anger. When he ended his experiments on children, Krasnogorsky proudly noted that he had successfully given children, quote, experimentally induced neuroses. 5. A doctor gave gonorrhea to a 4-year-old just to prove he could. In the 19th century, there was a growing debate about whether gonorrhea could spread like a germ. Scientist Henry Hyman believed that an experiment on lab rats wouldn't prove anything about humans, so he rounded up mentally handicapped children instead. Hyman found 2 mentally challenged boys, ages 4 and 16, and injected them with gonorrhea. Hyman's experiment was an unqualified success, assuming your criteria for success is giving children gonorrhea. Unfortunately, Hyman didn't know how to cure gonorrhea. 4. The Soviets tried to impregnate women with orangutan babies. All his life, Soviet biologist Ilya Ivanov had wanted to see an ape impregnate a human woman. The Soviet government was interested enough to offer him money, and France's Pasteur Institute offered to supply chimpanzees. Ivanov flew to Paris to get some women pregnant by chimps, but he came across an unexpected dilemma. French women weren't keen on being impregnated by primates, so no one signed up. He gathered some orangutans and returned to the Soviet Union. There, Ivanov actually got 5 willing volunteers. Tragically, his last orangutan died before he could do his experiment. Ivanov died shortly afterward. 3. Jean-Antoine Nollet electrocuted monks. In the 18th century, Jean-Antoine Nollet became fascinated by Benjamin Franklin's electricity experiments and wanted to know how fast electricity really traveled. So Nollet lined up a row of monks 1 kilometer long and had them all hold hands. Then he made the ones on the ends grab live electric wires. When the whole line of monks jumped up and yelped in pain at the same time, he found out. Proudly, Nollet recorded his scientific measurement of the speed of electricity very fast. 2. Gustav III made a criminal drink 3 pots of coffee every day. When coffee first came to Sweden, it was treated like a dangerous poison that was sure to shorten your lifespan. King Gustav III strongly believed that coffee was a killer, so he set up an experiment. He pardoned 2 convicted murderers awaiting the death sentence on 2 conditions. First, they would stay in prison for life. Second, one would drink 3 pots of coffee every day, and the other would drink 3 pots of tea. Gustav wanted to prove their lifespans would plummet, but he proved the opposite instead. The tea drinker died first at age 83. There is no record of when the coffee drinker died, except that he outlived both the tea drinker and Gustav III himself. 1. The Canadian government withheld nutrients from natives. Researchers wanted to test just how important vitamins and nutrients were, so they started a series of experiments on natives across the country. The researchers withheld milk from 1,000 starving children for 2 years and then gave it back to see how it affected the children's health. In almost all of the experiments, researchers forbid their subjects from seeing a dentist, afraid that proper dental care might skew the results. Although the researchers probably believed that they were doing important work, their results went unread for decades. When the results were finally unearthed, people were just upset, and the scientific community dismissed the findings as, quote, not very helpful. So, which one of these crazy stories got you most intrigued? Share your thoughts with us in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching. Take a look at our other videos and don't forget to subscribe. See you next time on Mind Expand.